y'all ain't noticed since Pooh Shiesty been home, ain't been no 1017 repping. It ain't been no shouting out Gucci Man, I'm 1017 this, and Gucci Man this, and Gucci Man that. Ain't none of that.
Pooh Shiesty, one of the most influential rappers to come out of Memphis, helped generate millions of streams and played a major role in putting 1017 Records back on the map. Now, he's made a statement that's sending shockwaves through the hip-hop industry. After serving years behind bars, Shiesty claims he came home to nothing from the label that once promised him everything. And at the center of this fallout is Gucci Mane himself. This isn't just another label dispute. This situation is deeply personal, touching on loyalty, family, loss, disrespect, and serious money. And if you think this will quietly fade away, you clearly don't understand how Memphis moves. Stick around until the end of this video, because what's unfolding here has the potential to turn into one of the biggest beefs hip-hop has seen in years. To understand how things reached this point, you have to understand who Pooh Shiesty was to 1017 Records. Back in 2020, he wasn't just another new artist, he was the future of Gucci Mane's label. His breakout hit, Back in Blood, featuring Lil Durk, became a cultural moment, pulling in hundreds of millions of streams and turning Shiesty into one of rap's hottest names almost overnight. His raw Memphis street sound connected nationwide, and his debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, went platinum, making 1017 relevant again in a way it hadn't been for years. Shiesty wasn't just making music, he was making Gucci Mane serious money. Then, in October 2021, everything changed. Pooh Shiesty was arrested and later sentenced to 5 years in federal prison on firearms conspiracy charges. For most artists, that would kill a career. Momentum dies, buzz fades, relevance disappears. But for Shiesty, the opposite happened. His fan base stayed loyal, streams kept climbing, and anticipation for his release only grew. During that time, Gucci Mane publicly spoke about how much he missed Shiesty and how 1017 was holding things down until he came home. He even cleared most of the label's roster, keeping only Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano. But as we're learning now, those public statements may not have matched the private reality. When Pooh Shiesty first signed to 1017, it looked like a perfect match. Gucci Mane, the Atlanta trap legend, linking with a hungry Memphis street rapper whose raw energy reminded fans of Gucci's early days. At the time, it felt like the beginning of something unstoppable. Gucci Mane provided the platform, the resources, and the industry connections. And in those early days, Pooh Shiesty rapped 1017 hard. In every interview, every social media post, and every song, he made sure to shout out the label. Big 1017, Gucci Mane the GOAT. He wore the chain with pride and spoke about Gucci not just as a boss, but as a mentor, almost like family. At the time, the loyalty looked genuine, and honestly, why wouldn't it be? Gucci Mane had given him the opportunity of a lifetime. Before 1017, Pooh Shiesty was just another talented street rapper from Memphis trying to break through. After signing, he was performing at major venues, landing features with industry heavyweights, and seeing his face on billboards. The partnership was working. But what most people don't realize is that even before Shiesty went to prison, cracks were already forming. Quiet whispers started circulating in the industry. Rumors of contract issues, concerns about money, and Shiesty feeling like he wasn't getting his fair share. Nothing public, nothing explosive, just behind-the-scenes tension that often comes with label relationships. Fast forward to 2025, and Pooh Shiesty finally comes home. The hip-hop world is watching closely. Will 1017 roll out the red carpet? Will Gucci Mane welcome him back with a plan, jewelry, and a new vision? According to Shiesty, none of that happened. Shortly after his release, he posted online saying that when he came home, no label, no rappers, and no industry friends really showed love, just his family and his day ones. He didn't name anyone directly, but the message was clear. When you're signed to 1017 Records and say no label looked out, there's really only one label people think of. So why did it happen? According to sources close to the situation, it all comes down to money and contracts. When Shiesty went to prison, he was still operating under his original 1017 deal, but by the time he came home, that contract was up for renewal. And that's where things started to get complicated. Pooh Shiesty went into prison as a rising star with one major project. He came home as a proven platinum-selling artist, and he expected to be treated like one. He didn't come home as just another rapper. He came home a certified star, a platinum album, a massive loyal fan base, and more buzz than ever before. His value had skyrocketed. Any label executive with common sense would have recognized that and adjusted the deal accordingly. But according to what's being said behind the scenes, Gucci Mane didn't see it that way. Word on the street is that when it was time to renegotiate, the numbers being offered to Pooh Shiesty were far below his market value. We're talking lowball offers that didn't match the streams, the cultural impact, or the money he was still generating, even while locked up. It felt like Gucci was trying to lock him into the same type of deal he had when he was an unknown artist, despite the fact that Shiesty was now a proven platinum-selling name. To his credit, Pooh Shiesty wasn't going for it. He knows his worth now. He's seen the numbers, felt the fan support, and understands the business way better than he did as a hungry young rapper just trying to get on. So when those weak offers hit the table, Shiesty pushed back. And that's when everything really started to unravel. Since coming home, Pooh Shiesty hasn't mentioned 1017 at all. No posts, no interviews, no freestyles. The chain? Nowhere to be seen. For someone who once repped the label harder than anyone, that silence says everything. And according to Shiesty, he didn't get anything from Gucci Mane after his release. No welcome home package, no jewelry, no car, no real money, just business as usual, like he hadn't just spent years in federal prison while still bringing in revenue for the label. But it gets even deeper and more personal. This situation also involves Big Scar, Pooh Shiesty's cousin and fellow 1017 artist. In December 2022, Big Scar tragically passed away from an accidental overdose at just 22 years old. His death shook the Memphis hip-hop scene. For Shiesty, who was still incarcerated at the time, losing his cousin was devastating. What happened afterward only made things worse. According to Big Scar's family, Gucci Mane attempted to retrieve the 1017 chain after his death. Let that sink in. A young artist passes away unexpectedly, and instead of focusing on support, funeral costs, or respect for the family, the priority became getting the chain back. For many, that moment crossed a line, and for Pooh Shiesty, it may have been the final straw. Big Scar's brother later went public on social media and directly called out Gucci Mane, claiming that when the family reached out for help with funeral arrangements, Gucci blocked their calls. He said Gucci wasn't moving like a real CEO, wasn't showing the kind of support you'd expect from someone who constantly spoke about loyalty and family within his label. For Pooh Shiesty, watching his own family be treated like that while he was still locked up had to be infuriating. At that point, this wasn't business anymore. This was personal. This was about how Gucci Mane treated his blood, his cousin, his family, and it showed Shiesty exactly who he was really dealing with behind the scenes. And here's where the situation gets even more complicated. Even if Pooh Shiesty wanted to reach out to Gucci Mane directly, even if he wanted a real man-to-man conversation to clear the air, he can't. According to multiple sources, Gucci Mane's wife, Keisha Kawar, controls his communications. She reportedly runs his Instagram, manages his phone, screens his calls, and decides who gets access to him. If you want to talk to Gucci Mane, you have to go through her first. Now, some people might say that's just a wife protecting her husband, but in the music industry, that's a serious problem. Artists need direct access to their label head, private conversations about contracts, creative direction, and personal issues. When there's always a third party acting as a gatekeeper, especially someone with their own interests, it creates distance, confusion, and tension. For Pooh Shiesty, that means even if he wanted to address everything face-to-face, the door is essentially closed. And based on how things have unfolded, it's clear that route wouldn't lead anywhere productive anyway. Here's the cold reality Shiesty seems to have accepted. There's nothing Gucci Mane can do for him now that he can't do himself. When Pooh Shiesty first signed to 1017, he needed the platform. He needed the connections, the industry machine, the cosign. He was an unknown Memphis rapper trying to break through, and Gucci Mane provided that opportunity. For that, Shiesty was grateful. But now, he has his own fan base, his own streaming power, his own brand. He's proven he can make hits, move units, and stay relevant, even from behind bars. At this stage, the only thing 1017 can really offer him is distribution, and that's something he can get anywhere. He can get distribution from any major label, or even go independent with the right team around him. Marketing? His name alone generates buzz. Pooh Shiesty doesn't need 1017's marketing machine to stay relevant. Features? Artists want to work with him because of who he is, not because of a label logo next to his name. The power dynamic has completely shifted. Pooh Shiesty isn't the hungry, unknown artist he once was. He's a proven star who did real time and came home with even more credibility, respect, and momentum. He holds the leverage now. And Gucci Mane trying to lowball him during contract renewal negotiations shows one of two things. Either Gucci doesn't recognize that shift, or he simply doesn't care. That's why Shiesty is willing to walk away. That's why he's no longer repping 1017, and that's why the relationship has soured. He's realized that staying with Gucci Mane means accepting less than he's worth, and he's not willing to do that. Now, the real question is, what happens next? If Pooh Shiesty decides to speak out publicly, how does Gucci Mane respond? Does he defend himself? Does he fire back with diss records? Or does he try to smooth things over and quietly repair the relationship? Because if this turns into a full-blown public fallout, it could seriously damage 1017 Records. What artist is going to want to sign there if they see how Pooh Shiesty was treated? Who's going to trust Gucci Mane to have their back if he couldn't fully support his biggest star when he came home from prison? The stakes are high on both sides. For Pooh Shiesty, this is about respect and being compensated fairly for his value. For Gucci Mane, this is about legacy and the future of his label. And zooming out, this situation exposes a much bigger issue in the music industry: how labels treat artists, especially young artists who don't fully understand the business when they first sign. Pooh Shiesty joined 1017 when he was hungry, when he needed the opportunity, when he would have agreed to almost anything just to get his foot in the door. That's how most artists start. But as artists grow, as they learn the business, as they see their real worth, those early contracts start to feel like chains. The smart labels adapt. They renegotiate in good faith. They reward growth. They build long-term partnerships rooted in respect and fair compensation. The labels that don't, they lose their best talent and earn reputations as places artists should avoid. Right now, 1017 Records is dangerously close to becoming one of those labels. If Gucci Mane can't repair this relationship with Pooh Shiesty, if he can't prove that he truly values his artists and treats them fairly, then 1017 Records is going to have a serious problem moving forward. Let's be honest, without Pooh Shiesty, who does the label really have? Fugiano is still caught up in legal issues. Most of the other artists have either been dropped or walked away. Pooh Shiesty wasn't just another name on the roster, he was the franchise. And if he leaves, what's really left? This is a defining moment for Gucci Mane. He can either step up, make things right, and show the industry that he's a label head who stands by his artists, or he can let this situation spiral out of control and watch the reputation of 1017 slowly crumble. Because once a label becomes known for mistreating its biggest stars, attracting top talent becomes nearly impossible. When you look at the full picture, it's clear the relationship between Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane has reached a breaking point. What started as a promising partnership has deteriorated into resentment, disrespect, and broken trust. Pooh Shiesty came home from prison expecting support from the label he helped rebuild. Instead, he was met with low-ball contract offers, silence, and the pain of watching his cousin's family feel disrespected after Big Scar's death. That's not how you treat family, and it's definitely not how you treat your biggest star. Now, Pooh Shiesty is making it clear that he's done playing games. He's no longer repping 1017, he stopped shouting out Gucci Mane, and he's letting the world know that when he came home, nobody from the industry truly looked out for him. That's a powerful message, and one that could have serious consequences. The big question now is what happens next? Does this stay as quiet tension behind the scenes, or does it spill into the music? Does Pooh Shiesty address it directly on wax? Does Gucci Mane respond? And could this turn into one of hip-hop's next major fallouts? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, the loyalty that once existed between Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane is gone. And in hip-hop, once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. What do you think about this situation? Do you believe Pooh Shiesty is justified in how he feels? Should Gucci Mane have done more to support him when he came home? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay locked in as this story continues to unfold, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. This situation is far from over, and you won't want to miss what happens next.